what we're looking at now is, where's this train going?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at 5, 10, 15,
Yep.
come on, 20 maybe years down the road. Where do you imagine this thing going? And it does not have to be a perfectly articulated picture. It can be a little bit abstract. It can be a little bit unclear, but you need to know where it's going.
Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch. I'm here with the impeccable, irreplaceable Caleb Agee, and we have an awesome episode for you about strategic planning.
Strategery.
This is the place where we answer your real-life marketing questions so you can eliminate waste in advertising, grow your business, and achieve the big dream. And what are the big dreamers up to? What should they be up to about right now?
Well, it's Monday after Thanksgiving, right? It's over. Christmas is up in the Agee house. When do you set up for Christmas?
We're done by this point.
You've got it up.
It's a done deal.
Okay. We do Black Friday morning. It's like a family tradition. White Christmas turns on. Good music. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pretend like I have anything valid to add to that equation in my house. It gets done.
Yeah. But Valerie's the winner on that one.
She said she'll ask for my help when she needs it, and I'm waiting.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's after Thanksgiving.
It's after Thanksgiving. New Year's is just right around the corner. 2024. New year.
Hopefully it's New Year's.
New Year's.
Unless you plan on
not
exiting in
making.
24.
Yeah. We had this guy Joel who used to work here, and he would always make a joke about third or fourth quarter, and he'd be like, 2024 starts today. So shout out to you, Joel.
Starts today.
Today. So that's what we're thinking about. And this episode, we're going to do a full episode just about strategic planning for next year. Really good. We have 5 questions that we want to ask you to help you guide if you wanted to guide your own strategic planning conversation. Get a couple people in the room, get your leadership, get your marketing team in the room. And if you follow these steps, I think it'll help guide a really strong conversation.
So on the Maven Monday after Thanksgiving, is it fair to say we're going to give them pumpkin to talk about?
That's fair, I think.
Hey, what's your favorite thing on the table, Thanksgiving table?
I really like the ham and good mashed potatoes.
Ooh, ham and taters.
Yeah, with gravy.
Nate, the camera guy?
I'm all about that based.
All about that based. You make me proud, son.
Yes.
Nate, the camera guy, is all about that based. I am a turkey man, and I don't care who knows it.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. If you are a small business and you are not in the mode of strategic planning right now, you should be. If you are a big business, I don't think you could have survived by not doing some sort of annual strategic planning.
Yeah.
If you are a human being and you wish to have any kind of a year that you can control, you should be thinking about strategic planning. And in our organization, we are blessed to be a part of a lot of strategic plans. We actually sort of demand that our clients do that with us to a level. But inside your organization, getting everybody on the same sheet of music, as our good friend Randy Mays would say today.
Yeah.
If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time, and this is the time to aim.
Yeah.
And this is where everybody, even if you don't have a fiscal year that ends in December, this is where the world and everybody just goes to this winter and reset mindset, and we take inventory of what should be and what should be better and what we should remove.
Yeah.
And it is not as easy to do that when you have multiple personalities and multiple, different talent inside your business.
Yeah.
And so over the years, we have learned a process that works really well for us, and we always leave this process feeling better, equipped, empowered, and it just launches, through that sluggish first quarter, and before we know it, we're on fire again after the holidays. And
yeah,
and I think stuff.
Yeah, it's like you said, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. This is painting a target, right?
Yes.
We're painting the target. We're hanging it up on the wall, making sure everybody on the team can see it, and it really is a rally cry, because first quarter usually it does feel tired, slow. The days are short. All the things.
Yes.
And we want to speed it up. We want to make sure everybody's on fire about the mission. And so we've got 5 questions.
So Caleb is the hero of this episode. He always is the hero of this episode.
Oh gosh.
And he's broken down our process, and give us number 1. There's 5 tips you want to take away.
Question number 1 that you would ask yourself is, how did we win? So we're looking back at this year, 2023, we need to start with, we do this every week. We start
We do.
every Monday
Yes.
with this question, but you should definitely start your strategic planning.
We start every quarterly meeting, every weekly meeting,
Yes.
and definitely every annual meeting.
If
Yeah.
you don't celebrate, you're missing a big opportunity to acknowledge your growth, to acknowledge where you've come from. It's such a powerful thing.
That's a culture of winning.
Yeah.
And if you want to produce a culture of winning where people want to do something more, help them acknowledge what they've already done.
Yes.
And I see too many companies just go straight into the books and say, cool, they might throw a Christmas party or something,
Yeah.
and everybody says, oh, it's a good year. And then January's in and the pressure's on, or it's self-induced pressure is on, and we just go straight to the numbers and all the tactics and all the things we think we're supposed to be doing. And we just miss a big opportunity.
Yeah. Big time.
And this is not a rah-rah thing. I can hear some of my very good friends of a previous generation going, oh, that's a bunch of millennial stuff, or that's it's a bunch of young people stuff. No,
it's not.
That is a cultural energy you want to bring to life, and it's not celebrating things that aren't celebration worthy.
No.
Your celebration could very well be that you survived a tough year.
Yeah.
Acknowledging the forces against you. It could be.
You could have had a down year, could have been an awful year, but you can still find something to win.
Yes.
And when you have that gratitude, hey, we just came out of Thanksgiving. When you have that gratitude, you can't completely be pessimistic. It brings hope. You're like, oh, yeah, we've done some things. We've made some progress.
We've asked this question in a number of different forms. We've sent out surveys. And by the way, with all these, we're going to highly recommend you send these to your team beforehand so your introverts can bring good stuff.
Yes.
And your extroverts don't dominate that meeting. That's a super big pro tip.
Yes.
But we've asked, what are you most proud of? It is December 31st, 2023. What are you most proud of in the last 365 days? I've asked it in the past, what did you go home and talk to your family about as it relates to work and the work that you do?
Yeah.
Hopefully they have good things to say.
Yeah.
So really take some time to intentionally bring that energy to life and go, guys, how do we win? How did we not get lost in the weeds, and how did we, become victorious in this past 365 days?
Yeah.
By the way, we skipped over this, but that is a super big thing in our weekly culture here, and I don't think you can do that enough.
No, I don't think you can. We take it. There's big wins, the yearly wins. We help this many companies. We've helped grow this way. We've maybe earned these revenues. Those are the big wins, but on a weekly basis, it's, hey, we helped this client in this way.
Side note,
we did this very practical thing.
I know some people who've been part of a company that grew to over $150 million in sales, and sold for between $300 and $400 million recently.
Wow.
They wrote a book called What Mr. Jenkins Told Me.
Okay.
And they credit one of the biggest things to their success is they built a culture of winning. And he's really well known for celebrate. So, anyway, that's a side thing outside of your strategic planning, but you should be doing it all the time.
Well, if you look at even team sports, you watch a team that is losing, it's really hard to get out of that rut. Or if you're in a bad way, if you don't come out of halftime with a different mindset, focused on we got this, we're going to do a little bit better. So
wins could be, by the way, just throw this one last thing. Wins could be this team member was able to buy a house. Wins, these are regular things we celebrate.
Yes.
Or
new
this
cars.
team member got a new car, got a new dog,
had a kid.
Something we count up every year is how many. We actually add up all these things. How many new cars are on the Frank and Maven fleet? Not ones we purchased, but our team.
Yeah.
How many people moved? How many people?
Nate, the camera guy, got a new car.
Nate, the camera
this year.
He will be in our win.
He will.
Our annual winning report.
Celebrate it.
That's Ming Blue. Don't just go to like the numbers.
Yeah.
Because if you want to create a culture where people value you for more than a paycheck, then give them more than a paycheck and help them realize more than a paycheck to value.
That's good.
That's not a tactic you can manipulate people with, but hopefully that's in your heart and you just need a little nudge or reminder to articulate it.
And if you are the first one to lead in that direction, I promise you, your team will follow very quickly and go to that place. So if you make it bigger than the work, yes, we have a shared purpose, but you make it deeper than that, they will follow suit. You just have to do it leader first. So that's how did we win? Question number 2, what challenged us? So we are
Mm.
not in toxic positivity mode. You know, some of
hate
you
toxic
turned
positivity.
us down a little bit or went to 1.5 speed. You need to slow it down. We're right here. What challenged us last year? And you'll notice that we're spending an equal amount of time looking backwards as we do forward. 2023 is just as important to tell us what 2024 is
Yeah.
going to look like.
What trend are we on?
Yes.
Yes. What trajectory, what pace, what frequency are we on?
Yeah.
And this is time for accountability.
Yeah. We have to say what did challenge us. Did we overcome those challenges? Are we still working through some of those things? Hiring and all of that recruitment has been a big thing for a lot of companies.
Yes.
And so you think about, we've been talking to some business owners and some leaders in the community. That's the number one thing they bring up as a challenge. Can I keep people in my office? Can I hire new people? Can I find the right people? Are they good people?
Yes.
What can we see anything next year? Like a
Yeah.
challenge, a trend, a pattern
Yes.
that's going to show up? Or is there an economic thing, an election thing that's
Yeah.
going to show up next year
Yeah.
that will change and challenge us?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing I would add to that is do this part justice. Try to encourage the room to talk about the challenges as it related to your objectives that you set out to do. Because I've seen this go off the rails where everybody just wants to air their dirty laundry, and that can happen.
Mhm.
And that's not something that should be silenced, but that is not something that is productive in a group setting.
Sure.
That is something that's like, hey, we should talk about that later. And especially if you get 2 or 3 people on the same thing, they're, disgruntled or whatever.
Sure.
And they're with an idea that's, maybe not congruent with the big idea, then you need to have that conversation early and often. But
Yeah.
this is not a airing of grievances. This is what is hard about what we're trying to make happen.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
We're on a path. We're on a mission. And I think that's exactly it. I would encourage you in strategic planning from the highest level to shrink down the amount of bodies in the room a little bit. There's our friend Randy Mays would talk about bringing everybody to the table, but there is also a level that he would say as well. You need to have leadership needs to lead, needs to set a trajectory, needs to set a plan, set a place. And then the how we're going to get there, how we're all going to come together and do that. That's when you bring your team in. And if you can paint that target and you say, hey guys, I see this. Do you see it? And then they'll come in and they'll say, yes. And I see exactly what we need to do. And usually they're better at it than you, business leader. They see it on their feet right in front of them.
I've made that mistake in the past as thinking strategic planning meant strategic asking everybody what we should do next. That has to come from a very small force and a very convicted force.
Yeah.
Collaboration is not appropriate at every level.
Yeah.
Collaboration on how we get it done, that's the only way you should do it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but don't honestly, don't be cruel enough to let your team think they have control or authority on something that you're not willing to give up.
Yeah. And I think it comes back to, especially for most of our people are more small business entrepreneurs. And especially when you get back to that level, there's that burning ember that's in the heart of it. And that's actually kind of what the next question is. But that we want to make sure we recall and never lose.
Yes.
Never lose.
So practically, I think that looks like you bring mission-oriented things. You bring what we would call in vision, values, vows in our process.
Yeah.
The world you're trying to create, what you stand for, what you stand against, and your vows and your promises to the world. Vision, values, vows. I don't think those deserve or need collaboration if you are truly leading with a vision.
Yeah.
And if you're not leading with vision, you might want to find somebody who's capable of doing that.
They say
maybe time for a sabbatical or something so you can go find yourself.
Vision leaks. So that was question number 2. What challenged us? We kind of just went back to the top, hit the ground rules, bring a small leadership team together for this kind of strategic planning. That's the summation there.
So how do we win? What challenged us? And what is question number 3?
Number 3 is, what's the big dream? You've probably heard that before.
Time or two.
a time or two.
Time or two.
And what we're looking at now is, where's this train going?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at 5, 10, 15,
Yep.
come on, 20 maybe years down the road. Where do you imagine this thing going? And it does not have to be a perfectly articulated picture. It can be a little bit abstract. It can be a little bit unclear, but you need to know where it's going.
I think we get caught up in how many customers we have to have and what percentage points we got to grow by. I really think that is a byproduct of a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
We ask that question 1, 3, 5, and sometimes we even go as far as 10 years.
Yeah.
And opening up that dream cap, that ceiling, lifting that ceiling off and letting people go, what is possible outside of my daily work? Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What we want to have is that big thought. And so questions you might ask: do you want to be the preferred choice in your market? Do you want to expand to new markets? Do you want to get more customers? Do you want to work for less customers? Do more with less customers?
Yeah.
Are you teaching? Are you rising up other leaders, mergers, acquisitions? We could talk about,
is there a mission? Is there a charity? Is there a community impact that you want to make?
Yeah.
I would argue you should be making some sort of community impact.
Yeah, I believe it. And even like business owner, are you thinking about selling the business? And how many years are you thinking about that being true? You're going to give it to your kids? Are you going to retire? Are you going to plan out your legacy, your succession plan? What does all that look like? And I think the thing we all know about life is it doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah.
Right. You just hold on to it loosely and you say, this is where I imagine myself going. And then the beautiful thing is it sets you off on a path. You're walking forward, but you aren't going to go from A to B, in a straight line.
Yes.
It just sets your trajectory. And that's the whole goal here.
Yeah. You're giving it life by speaking to it instead of leaving it as a one-day thing you'll get to. Real quick, one thing I think belongs in here, even if you're sure that you can't let go control or you can't, let your foot off the gas pedal and you can't even begin to think about selling or exiting a business. I can think of 2 very strong, capable people that I know of this year that were diagnosed with terminal illnesses. And they had to scramble to put their business in a position where it could carry on
longer than them.
Yeah. And so a big dream component should absolutely be, how do I build processes, procedures, and at the very least, some sort of succession plan for the hit by a bus thing. You should be thinking about that.
Yeah.
For your family, for your team, for everybody involved.
Yeah. That's great. So that's question 3. What's the big dream? We want to think big first, and then we're going to bring it down to a tighter reality, which is it's 1 year from now. Your life, or our life, and our business are exactly where you hope they'd be. What happened to make that true? And we love to ask it this way because, or we'll say it's December 31st, 2024, and that's
instead of asking somebody, what are your goals? And people don't have a spot in their mind for their goals. Maybe things like, vacations and like tangible, I'd like to go to Australia or whatever. But when you force them to fast forward in a future moment where they're going to be contemplating, I think that's the magic. And you go, what are you going to wish you had done now? It's a little bit different context, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's like a time machine, right? It just puts them in that seat in the future. And they're like, I'm my older, wiser self. And I love everything about what's going on right now.
Love it.
Yeah.
What had to happen to make that true?
So we know the big dream. We know the trajectory. We know where we want to go. Now we have to say, what piece of that, what chunk of that are we going to take care of next year, this year? And so I think it's really important to make sure those are practical, tangible, at some level reasonable. We take into account those challenges. We take into account, but we also want to challenge ourselves and push ourselves beyond maybe so there's a nuance here, right?
You just skipped over something I think is so important. I think you were saying you can look at the 1, 3, 5 year dream, like what am I trying to make happen?
Yeah.
But pick the next best step and don't fool yourself into thinking you can do all of the things in a year. What 2 am I going to take off this list and attack?
Yeah.
I'd say in certain years of our growth, we tried to fool ourselves and think we'll just do it all.
Yeah.
And that's that's probably starts with numero uno here. But that might be true, but you're not going to do 10 things at once. Fill one glass at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. I think James Clear talks about the 1% rule that he has, which is a lot of people try to go, this month I'm going to go from 0 to 100. And he said, but what if you just did 1% a day and you'd be, 30 times, if you talk about this year, 365 days, you'd be 30 times, 365% beyond where you wanted to be. And so it's just 1% doesn't sound like much. It sounds easy. It sounds, you don't want to oversimplify it, but I think honestly, when you have that compounding 1%, you see the fruit of that is exponential. Actually, it's not even singular digits.
He's such a great voice and a brilliant man on this topic.
Yeah. Atomic Habits. If you want to grab the book, it's a good.
You don't rise to the level of your goals; you fall to the level of your systems.
Yep. Yeah, that's that foundation.
Yeah.
How
James Clear, by the way.
Yeah, James Clear. How strong is that foundation? That platform. You can stand and slap at some goals, but you have to build up the footing that everybody's standing on.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're really not getting traction.
No.
You're exerting energy.
Yeah.
But you are a spinning wheel in the mud, right?
You might slap a goal every once in a while if you hop high enough. But it'd be luck, not on purpose. So,
absolutely.
We usually break these goals, this 1 year goals. This is probably what everybody thinks about strategic planning. This is the part everybody thinks about. We took 3 questions to lead ourselves here. Question 4 is basically, what are my goals next year?
Yep.
We ask it in a better way, but we usually break this into 2 lists. One is measurable goals. The other is immeasurable goals. And I think it's fun to have both. Measurable goals are probably where everybody leads, right? It's a little bit more sales numbers. Did we sell these many units?
Employee counts. Yeah.
Revenue,
close ratios,
percentages, all that stuff. But the immeasurable goals are a lot of fun, actually, and they help, I think, bring clarity for people on the team, especially between leadership. Like, man, I'd really love to see people coming into work on fire about the mission.
Yes.
Like, can't measure that.
You can't measure it on a spreadsheet.
No.
You can measure it with your eyes.
Yes.
You can measure it by walking in that room, because I can tell you within 4 seconds if that room's on fire, right?
Yeah.
Other things like we want our families to feel more involved and like they matter in our organization.
Yeah.
You could technically measure this one, but it's also an immeasurable force. We want more referrals. We want our customers to feel so on fire about us that they tell the world about us, right?
Yes.
You're not going to see every instance you could like write down in a bullet point on that, but
you're not putting this on your dashboard probably, but if you do keep it in front of your eyes, you can acknowledge, man, I feel like our team members' work-life balance is stronger. They are going home. I see,
so cool.
I see so-and-so hitting the T-ball games and getting to have date night with their, I think that's
by the way, if you're celebrating
things.
wins weekly, you'll see those things.
Yeah.
It is measurable. They'll come back up.
Yep.
That's a sign of a healthy person who's not so distracted by work that they can't be in their most important spot.
Yeah. But let's take it back to the measurable goals. I think it's important to have, what do you think? 3 to 5 typically.
Yeah.
You don't really want to go much beyond 5 because you're making the target a little too confusing.
And I'd say 2 or 3.
3 would probably
my friend
be
Tom
better.
Douglas did this brilliant one. He had the most succinct way of saying it. 1, 2, 3 by
23 or something
23
like
or something like that. It was, and he had just a specific.
1 was this, 2 was this.
Yep, 2 and 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3, and everybody could repeat it. Like, I don't know how many hundreds of people are there. But I would say clients and employees, and he was not afraid to say it to everybody. And
this is what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Keep it tight, make it clear, and then visit it often.
Yeah.
I think that.
Last thing, tie it to the mission.
Yeah.
Because if it's just sales and that's not something that people can see their individual purpose in. Usually, maybe a salesperson could, because they can see how they can maybe take more for their family at those numbers. But tie it to the outcome.
Yeah.
We are trying more and more and more. I would say ever since we've started to say, is this on mission for us? is this letting us do our best work, which is what our calling is, which is to help entrepreneurs confidently grow their business.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, everything in marketing is not contributing to growth in a business. A lot of it is distraction, and a lot of it is
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is it tight to your mission?
Yep.
And if you don't have that clear, you need to make sure you visit that as well.
Yeah.
All right. That was question 4. And the last question is, am I willing to be committed, consistent, and coachable?
I love this one.
And this is something, Brandon, I think you brought it to our team.
I did.
A couple of years ago at a team building day.
One of my favorite coaches I've ever had taught me this framework, the 3 C's to mindset change.
Yeah.
I think this is overlooked by a lot of people.
Mhm.
I think we take this for granted. For clarity, committed looks like, okay, there's this whole, I think we're all aware of it. There's this whole New Year's resolution, like toxic goal language that we just throw out and nobody believes it. Probably not even the people saying it believe it.
Sure.
But saying I want to do something or this is my goal is totally different than saying it will happen.
Mhm.
I've already decided this will happen.
Yeah.
And you look at somebody, look at people who have dramatic physical changes in a positive direction.
Yeah.
They do not wake up asking themselves, do I feel like working out today? Because the answer is, especially early on, hell no, I don't feel like working out today, right?
I'm not going to bed, though,
Yes.
without working out. That is how they think.
Okay, so that's one way to do it. Or I have decided that I will wake up at 5 a.m. because that's what healthy people do, and I have decided I'm going to be a healthy person.
Yeah.
Or I have decided that I am going to have a date night 1 night a week with my wife because I want a strong marriage, and that's what people with strong marriages do.
Yeah.
I have decided I will set aside 15 minutes for daily prayer and meditation because I want to be a person of peace and impact, and that's what people of peace and impact do.
Yeah.
And you say, I have decided that is what's going to happen, and it just changes the psychological thing of that. And that is called being committed. Committed literally, you have let it take you captive. You've let that future reality take you captive.
That's good.
And like, it's not kind of like being committed to an insane asylum. You are committed to your new world, right?
Yep.
And daily choice is not part of that equation. Or sorry, daily emotion, sorry, is the word I was looking for, is not part of that equation, but daily choice, pre-decided choice, pre-decided destiny is there. So are you committed? Do you really want this? And actually, while we're on that topic, I think there are people listening right now that don't really want the things that they've said out loud. They don't know how to reconcile with what that even means for them. I think it happens a lot with our culture that is trying to climb a ladder and is trying to be able to say things that impress their friends and trying to be able to say things that other people and peers have said, and they think that sounds good. Well, I want that too. And I'm not saying that they can't go get it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, do you really want it?
You want it.
Is it worth committing your life to?
Will you enjoy it? Will you enjoy the fruit of that pursuit? Yeah. And I think a lot of times people sign themselves up, they write a check they didn't really want to cash.
That's exactly right. Yeah. They didn't. They what they did is they swiped a credit card and they didn't want to pay that debt later, and it's going to come for you. Yeah. And we're getting real philosophical real quick, so
that's okay.
I'm going to bring it back a little bit and say,
be committed.
I think what it takes, you see people. I'll just use the physical metaphor again. You see people that get to a point, and there is not an ounce of them left in them that doesn't want the thing, and they're so sold out to that new reality that's when you see them lose 100 pounds and become like, Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. That obviously has not happened to me. But it is the thing, because I think if the thing is not worth giving your life for, that is your biggest struggle. Is it worth it is maybe the biggest question before that. Yeah. Do I really want that? And I think in our industry, and just being a CEO with peers that are CEOs, I have actually learned over the years to separate myself from people who have goals that I've realized that I don't really have. And there's a ton of it in marketing. There's a ton of people saying, grow, scale, scale. And
get every client and contract you could ever touch. And it's like,
look at my Lamborghini.
Are we? Yeah.
And it's like, do you really want it? And that could be a cop-out if you're just not being honest with yourself. But, and by the way, my Lamborghini is a helicopter, so I do intend to
Have one.
acquire one of
Yeah.
those machines, and when it's appropriate. But and try not to make it material. That was just a funny example. But
Yeah.
do you want to something we've, just to be honest, talked about here? Do we want a 50-member team? Do we want that?
Yeah.
Or can we have bigger impact with 20?
Mm-hmm.
And so back to committed. That's the first step. It's not a daily choice. You've decided what you wanted. You decide it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time and inputs, which leads to the second thing, your inputs, which is consistency. Are you committed and are you consistent?
Mm-hmm.
True story. This beast of a book, I tried my way to write it, and all this credit goes to Ashley Mansour, who is the best book coach and probably the best mindset coach I've ever encountered. Definitely the best book coach in this country. By the way, drop me if you've ever wanted to write a book and you're stuck, I need to get you with her. So whoever you are, I don't know care if you know me or you don't know me or whatever, I'll get you with her.
Yeah.
But consistency. It's easy to write your first 10,000 words of a book. Just ask me. I did it about 8 times. And it's easy to get passionate for 2 weeks and just plow through because it's on your mind, it's bottled up, and you're pissed off that you don't have this thing done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, oh, well, I got all that out. And then, some kid gets sick or some client wants to move their meeting to 7 a.m. And so you got to, adjust that or whatever thing happens in your world.
Yep.
Or some employee quits or whatever.
Holidays or
just whatever happens. And you all of a sudden stop showing up, and then you lose the passion and you go, well, maybe I didn't want to write that anyway. And then you start writing again. And then you write your next 10,000 words in about 7 months. When you realize you're pissed off again, you didn't write the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this passion thing. And passion, when you have those moments, don't get me wrong, they can move mountains.
Yeah.
But people that get skinny, we'll go back there again, do not run a marathon 1 week and just decide they're going to do that. It is a daily showing up.
Yeah.
So am I showing up in the same place,
Mm-hmm.
in the same time, in the same way?
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
So I've already decided I'm going to have it. It's just a matter of showing up and putting the inputs in, taking a little whack out of that tree where I can knock it down.
That's that 1% every day that James Clear's talking about.
Exactly. Same thing. You will find that all these
they all line up.
Master gurus are anchored to the same wisdom, and I happen to believe that is biblical, but we won't go into that. Okay, so don't wait to feel good, feel inspired, show up, and use the book as an analogy. I learned that if I did not show up for 1 hour every day at the same table in the same coffee shop to do something, my requirement was that I had to write 1,000 words before I could get up.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke that out loud to everybody who knew me.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke it into existence.
Yeah.
And so they kind of knew, oh boy, he's serious about that. Actually, they didn't think I was serious at first. And then maybe after like 4 weeks, like, okay, man, he might be serious.
He might be doing this.
But you speak that and you say, I'm going to anchor time for this.
Yeah.
I think if you're a business owner, forget about the book for a second. I think that looks like check-ins with team.
Yeah.
Caleb is so brilliant at that here. He toes that line. I think that is setting aside time to work on your business, whatever that means, either financially, you're not going to miss your meetings with your accountants, and you're not going to have things crammed up against them.
Or your marketing people.
Yeah, or your marketing people. You know who you are. Shame on you. Get consistent, would you? Total side note, we've used this principle to filter in and out clients.
Yeah.
It's like if you're serious about your business, you're going to be committed. We've already decided it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We talk as if it's going to happen. And you're going to be consistent. And that's why when you become a Frank and Maven client, you get Tuesday at 3:30 is your time. And dadgummit, we're going to show up. We're going to be here.
Yeah.
And our world, for your world, operates on that pace. And we hope that it has done remarkable things over the years.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, oh, well, this month we met on a Tuesday. What would you like to do next month?
Yeah. No.
We if
it's the first Tuesday of every month.
You can ask clients that we have calendar invites for kind of infinity, really.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean we can't pivot or when certain things come up, but you're showing up in the same way, in the same place, ideally at the same time to make progress.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, that is so powerful. And that is the opposite of my nature. My nature is when I'm passionate about something, get out of the way because I'm going to knock it down. and I'm
Mhm.
going to exert all my force on it. And then when I do that, I'm empty and tired for like a week after that. You got to bottle that and you got to throttle it and try to spread that butter a little thinner.
Yeah.
Like it's like 3 analogies, right?
3.
Bottle, throttle, butter.
Just stack them.
Okay, you're committed. You've decided it's going to happen. You're consistent. You show up every day in the same time, in the same way to make progress. 3, possibly the most important of all, you're coachable. Entrepreneurs who have this bleeding vision out of them tend to not want to stop and have to bring the world up to their pace or their conviction. And you shouldn't bend on a conviction. I'm not saying that. However, you ain't that smart. And there is somebody that has done this before you, either in your same industry or maybe even better, an industry that has tackled a problem that is not common in your industry but is facing you.
Yeah.
And they can see things you can't because you have your blinders on and you are a bullet headed for the wrong target. And they'll be like, tweak it this way just a touch.
Yeah.
And if you, I've learned over the years, there are people that show up and they're never going to be, they're likely not going to be aggressive and say, you need me and I'm going to drag you out of bed and make you come to coffee with me. But they are dying to help you. And if you take that initiative, and I've elected 3 very, very key people in my life in different seasons, but they tend to be the same 3. And if you're not making some sort of regular effort, go back to that consistency thing, to get a coach to look at you and help you through and just bounce your ideas off of, man, I think you are losing half your efficiency.
Yeah.
And you're probably headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And elect them for different areas of your life. We have mentors in our life for marriage. Interviewed one last week, Dr. Steve Rice. He's a mentor on so many things. Spiritual mentors, business mentors, financial mentors. And it's probably not always going to be the same person in every area. And don't give them authority where they don't deserve authority.
Sure.
Nate the Camera Guy is my camera mentor for sure.
He makes us look good.
But have one, and I will suggest at a certain level, even if you have really good peers and even if you're a really good networker, you're going to encounter a obstacle in a season where that free help is not going to do the whole job, and you're going to have to make some room to pay somebody to show up for you in a more powerful and focused way.
Yeah.
Because there's support. I actually have a Frankly Friday coming up that's it's called Mentors versus Coaches. And every person has a different job, right? But sometimes you need literally a coach or somebody who can like go, no, this is our goal. I've done this 800 times. I don't have all the time in the world. I'm not your friend. I don't go to church with you. So you can pay me $20,000 a year and I'll help you solve this problem and you'll make your next $1,000,000.
Yeah.
But you got to go to that 20 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm proud to say we are that for people. And our entire organization is that in certain categories. And I'm also very, very proud to say that is something I learned even before I started this company, that you have to let go of some money and you have to put some sort of time and probably money effort in the ground for yourself to get that push.
Yeah.
So committed, you've already decided it's happening. Consistent, you're going to show up every day and take a chunk out of that. Coachable, you know you don't know. And you're going to find somebody who knows.
Yeah.
So they can get you to your next thing.
Yeah.
Drop your ego.
That's great. I think that's the danger if you don't have those 3 C's intact, is that you painted that target and you hung it up on the wall, and you, leader, you're the one developing these goals, this future, this big dream that we're all running toward. If you didn't pre-decide that all 3 of these things were true, you will come into work without the fire. Everybody else is hopefully running with it, but like we said, vision leaks. And that like you could pump it full up at a team building day and that balloon is hot, but you got to keep pumping it up or else it's going to keep leaking out. You know what I'm saying?
This podcast is a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
We show up at the same time, same place
Yeah.
every week,
Yeah.
generally.
Hey, guess what? I think this is episode 25 of the Maven Marketer. Can you believe it?
It is. I was about to say it's episode 25.
25.
But we were committed. We decided it was going to happen.
Yep.
We gave ourselves room to make sure we could make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
We consistently show up every day, and then we got a coach. Thank
Yeah.
you, Alex.
Yeah.
Alex is the reason we have a lot of the structure and the look and
Yeah.
the feel of this podcast. And she ain't cheap. If you need
Yeah.
somebody to help you like hone in your,
Worth it, though.
like, she's kind of a marketing person. We're marketing people. We still hired a coach, right?
Yes.
She's a brand and marketing person. Alex Shower, by the way. Showerbranding.com or Showerbrand Co. or something like that. Look up Alex Shower.
Yeah.
SCHAUER.
I think so.
Something. She'll come up.
You'll find her.
She's brilliant. Thank you, Alex. And yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that is going to have any sort of greatness, that's going to those components are going to have to be
Yeah.
there if you wish to sustain.
All right. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to get your leadership team together. You're going to gather a few voices. You're going to pre-send these questions to everybody so they
Yes.
can either write down notes or turn in notes. You can do it either way. You could do survey style and gather them. I don't really care. Just as long as introverts have a time to take, their
Yes.
own, before an extrovert speaks and shifts the whole room.
Yep.
You want to make sure an introvert has a time to
Yes.
pre-decide. And then you're going to ask these 5 questions. How did we win? What challenged us? What's the big dream? It's 1 year from now. Our life and our business are exactly where we hope they'd be. What happened to make that true? And then last, are we committed, consistent, and coachable?
One last side thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you need a facilitator, and I would actually recommend everybody gets a facilitator. We do at least once a year.
Yeah.
We would be happy to do that for you.
Yeah.
That is a service we can provide. And we do.
You can email us through our website, frankandmaven.com, or a direct email would be mavenmonday@frankandmaven.com.
Yes. If you're lucky, you'll get Caleb. If he's busy, you'll get me. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe button so you can see all of our newest episodes. Subscribe to our email. There's so much extra good stuff and links to other things that are frankly filling us up. So if you want to know where we get the gas tank filled, we're giving those quote unquote secrets in those email lists. And we would love some more 5 stars. The 5 stars died down a little bit. That would help us hit the new year with vigor.
Mm-hmm.
And share it with your friends because we believe we're making an impact. We know we are by the things we're hearing.
Yes.
And this is our mission to make business owners better, to make you more confident, to make you take the guesswork out of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something we're on fire here. So I hope you'll agree that we're fulfilling that mission. And it would be a blessing to us if you would share that with other people.
Yeah.
So send all your questions to mavenmonday@frankandmaven.com. We'll be here every Monday answering your marketing and advertising questions because marketers who can't teach you why
Are just a fancy lie.
have a great week.